All right, this is a kinematics problem I wanted to finish up for you guys. So we'll just go ahead and get started. So we have a ball that is thrown, and what we want to do is figure out some things about it. We want to figure out the height that it was thrown from and the angle that it was thrown at when it hits the ground. And we're going to do exactly what they suggest. They say play the tape in reverse, and I'm actually not interested in solving this problem in the order that it's given. I'm interested in finding things that I think I can find out. So here's one thing I know. I know that in the x direction, x equals v naught xt plus x naught will tell me that I travel a distance d equals v naught x cosine theta final, that's what this is right here, times t. And so what I can do is I can go ahead and get a couple of things. So first, let me just get the plain old, actually that's not v naught cosine. You know what? I need to be really careful. I don't like how I wrote any of that. So why don't we just go ahead and rewrite it this way. We'll say that d equals v naught x times t. And we'll note off to the side here that v naught x equals v final x, and then we'll use that in a second. So here's what we're going to say. We're going to say that 25 over 1.5 equals v naught x. And so when I actually do that, 25 over 1.5, that's going to give me a v naught x equals v final x equals 16.62 meters per second, which is awesome. Now, let's do one more thing. I know that v final cosine theta equals the vx that I just solved for. So I'm going to go ahead and get a magnitude for v final. That's going to be v final times the cosine of 60 equals 16.62. And what that means is that v final equals 33.33 meters per second. Now I can do something really clever. I'm going to go ahead and get Vy final. And the way I'm going to get Vy final is Vy final is going to equal V final squared minus V final x squared under a square root. And that's going to be 33.33 squared minus 16.62 squared under square root. And when I go ahead and get Vy that way, I'm going to actually end up getting that Vy is negative 28.86 meters per second. Negative because it's going downwards. So now let me get V naught y at the top. I'm going to have Vy equals V naught y plus gt. So I'm going to get negative 28.86 equals V naught y plus 9.8 with a negative sign because gravity points downwards times 1.5. And when I get V naught y, that's going to be negative 14.16. So now there's quite a bit I can do here. First, let me get the magnitude of the initial speed. That's going to be here. Let me just go and pick a color here. That's going to be V naught x squared. Whoops. That's going to be V naught x, this guy here, squared, plus V naught y squared. So when I go ahead and do that, this is going to be V naught x squared plus V naught y squared under a square root. That's going to be this guy and this guy under a square root. I'm going to end up getting about 21.9 meters per second. And that actually ends up being the answer to B. The answer to C is going to be the inverse tangent of negative 14.6 or 14.16 divided by 16.62, and that's going to work out to be about 40.4 degrees. So what else am I missing? Part A, we want H. Well, we'll get that last. Part D, this is going to be a negative angle because it's a negative sign here, so that's going to be below. And now for part A. Well, for part A, I'm going to do Vy squared equals V naught y squared plus 2gy. And I'm going to actually plug in my numbers. I'm going to end up solving and getting a height of about 32.3 meters.